YouTube channel near you.
Hello, and welcome to Spiritual Street Talk with Alethea Jacob. I'm Alethea, and I am so delighted that you have tuned in today. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Joey. I see you right away on the chat. So cool. So, for those of you who might be tuning in for the first time, just a real quick overview of the show. What I typically will do is talk about, for the first few minutes, what's been on my mind and heart. Then I'll dive into a topic for the night. Then I'll do some spiritual readings, messages from Spirit to share with everybody. And then I'll turn it over to the chat to answer whatever specific questions, issues you want me to talk about, topics you want to know a little bit more about. And we try to make it as interactive as possible. So good evening, Joey. Thank you. So as far as what's been going on, well, I know the topic of the show tonight is, something is about to shift in your life. Oh my God. Talk about crazy energies that are around, right? There's just this swirling kind of energy. And everywhere you look, it feels like people are overwhelmed. They just feel like they're running and running and running and not really getting anywhere fast, right? These are some of the typical signposts that major shifts or major changes are coming in our own personal lives, as well as in probably our society. We're just seeing all kinds of crazy energy. Let me just call it that. That's happening. Hey, Roger, welcome. So one of the things that I always think about in times like this is the hero's journey. And when you think about Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, which is represented in all kinds of classic books and movies and films, and stories and trilogies like Lord of the Rings and the Harry Potter series and the Star Wars series, there's always some turmoil going on in the life of the main character. And then there is this sense of a call to adventure. There's this, I got to leave the old behind. I got to leave all this chaos behind me. And I need to go out and make the change and see, where am I supposed to be in the world? What am I supposed to be doing? So when we get these feelings of overwhelm, we should always be also looking for what's coming into us from out of the blue. And so I'll just share a little bit this week. I was talking to somebody and made a business proposition to them as far as something that maybe I could do to help their business. And they were very open to it. And I said, well, you know what? Let me bounce it off of somebody else to see if there's actually a need for the service I think I could be that in-between person for. And when I called that other person, they were like, oh my God, that would be fantastic. There's such a need for this. And it was like this little synchronicity that I was bold enough to listen to the prompting, open my mouth and make a suggestion. And it was one of those moments of being in the right place, right time, right people. And I think this is going to lead to some really cool opportunities for all three of us down the road with this particular project. So for me, I've kind of trained myself over the years to notice that when things feel the most overwhelming, oftentimes Spirit will open up a conduit for us and will say, hey, try this, or hey, here's an option or an opportunity. Why don't you go for that? And it's almost like it creates this feeling of discontent and overwhelm with where we're at, that new way of being seems like, oh yeah, this is going to be an adventure. And I welcome the change because it's something new and different than the overwhelm I've been feeling. So I think that's part of it. And if you've been asking, like, well, why is it feeling like everything's going to be shifting? It's because everything's going to be shifting. There's a quickening that's happening on a spiritual level. And we talked about this a little bit in prior episodes, that during times of great transition, spirit comes closer. There's a quickening that starts to happen. And then we get a polarization where the good become better and the bad become worse. And so we start to see, the challenges to understand what is even truth, because there's so many distortions of perception and gaslighting going on. And just, you have to kind of step back from and say, wait, you're telling me I can't trust my own eyes? And they're like, no, you can't. And you're like, but wait a minute, it's not that I'm watching a video that AI might have generated or doctored. I'm standing there watching something live in person. If I can't believe what I'm seeing live and in person, then we got bigger problems, right? So there's a lot of that kind of craziness going on. And that's part of shaking up the system, so that in a way, it's a call to action. Just like if you follow any of the hero's journey, there's a call to action for our hero to leave behind that way of life that's been holding him back and holding him down and causing him pain and problems, and go off and into something new. One of the ways that you can recognize a spiritual transition is there is a certain amount of discomfort, but there's also this sense that when one door is closing, there's a window that's opening over here. Spirit will never leave you hanging, so to speak, right? So if you feel like all these things you're trying like hanging on the wall. I apologize for that technical difficulty. I have no idea. I have Starlink, and I have their highest package for satellite services. But sometimes when the weather's wonky or something, the line might get interrupted. So I do apologize for that. So if there's breaks again that happen, just hang in there, everybody. I'm not going anywhere. Hopefully it'll come on back. So, all right. So what I was saying, one of the ways you can recognize a transition period for you is just that feeling of discontent that seems to rise up within you, and this desire in your heart that, I really feel like I want things to be different. I want to make a change. And then the next thing that helps is that an opportunity comes and presents itself to you, that call to adventure, so to speak. And if you're not familiar with Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, I highly recommend at least Googling it or watching a quick video on it, because you will recognize the different phases that we all go through in the adventure of our life. And it's really, really wonderful. Hey, welcome, Virgil, all the way from Manchester, England. That's way cool. Okay, so one of the questions I know people ask me all the time is, why is it uncomfortable, or why does discomfort often come before a change, a major transition, a realignment? And honestly, the reason that it comes is because if you were just happy as a clam and everything's fine, and you live in a comfortable life and you're going through your day-to-day routine, there's really not a lot of impetus to make a change. In fact, most of the reasons I know that people make major changes in their life, it started with some kind of push, some kind of discomfort. You lose weight because your clothes are getting too tight. You stop smoking because you're pregnant and you don't want to hurt the baby. Or you get a new job because now you're married and your wife is pregnant and you need a better job that pays more and has benefits, right? So sometimes there's this outside push that helps us to get to where we want to go. And one of the things that happens is that spirit is going to be there to help us, right? They're going to help us to let go of the old, especially if it's an old pattern or habit that's holding us back. And so one of the things we can do is we can ask for that help to let go. We can also, we can make sure that we're grounded, right? We can start each day with a little bit of a prayer, mindfulness of, hey, I'm putting my intention out into the world that I want to be and become the best possible version of me that I can. And as you do that, you're setting up this willingness. And you can even say it, I am willing to make whatever changes are necessary in order for me to become the best possible person I can, and for me to live the life that my soul wanted me to live when I came into this existence, right? Our souls have a purpose. Our souls have an agenda. And if we went off track somewhere along the line, and even if we're living a fairly comfortable existence, we may be on this whole distraction away from what spirit and our soul wanted us to be doing. And so if we say, I am willing to do God's will, my soul's highest purpose, my will's purpose, if I'm willing to let go of what I have, and you have to be willing to let go of what you have in order to get what's coming to you, right? It's like if you're holding something tight in both hands, you have no hands open to receive any new gifts, any new things coming your way. You have to empty your cup before you can refill it. So a lot of times we have to first claim our willingness to make the transition. That helps it become a little bit easier. We also can invite the help of spirit, and understanding and reframing things so that it doesn't seem so overwhelming and scary to make the change. It's a transition that can be an adventure, full of opportunities, full of something new. You have this sense of curiosity instead of dread, right? And part of that's your choice of how you want to look at it. And one of the examples I love to give as I talk about making transitions is, imagine you love to go skydiving and you have made a deal with your jump master that the only way to come down from the sky is to actually skydive, right? You're not going to ride the plane back down. And it's his job. He says, okay, if you start to chicken out, I will push you so that you can go. And so as you're standing there at the edge, you're approaching the time when it's getting ready to jump, and you are all geared up and you're like, okay, I can do this, right? If you chicken out, so to speak, and say, I don't know if I want to make this transition, spirit in our life case, or the jump coach in this analogy's case, is going to push you. And the first couple of seconds, your hands will be flailing. You're going to be in a panic. You're going to be looking for the ripcord. Finally, you find it and pull it, and the chute goes open. You're fine. But you're in this whole state of off balance, totally freaked out. And by the time you get down to the ground, you're like, oh my God, that was horrible, right? It wasn't really horrible. It was just scary, and maybe unnecessarily so, because your other option, instead of getting pushed by spirit or the jump master, was to say, I'm going to find a sense of courage. I'm going to grab my ripcord, have it ready. I'm going to jump 1, 2, 3. Okay, I might be scared, but I'm doing it. And then you count your 1, 2, 3, and you pull. And now it opens. You felt totally in control of that part. And now as you're making the transition down to the ground, you can actually enjoy it a little bit. Feel empowered because you chose to make the transition. No one forced it upon you. And when you hit the ground, it's like, wow, yeah, I did it. And that sense of excitement that comes. And so if we can embrace that spirit of willingness to make the transition and to be bold and courageous and be as prepared as we need to be, but we go for it, life is much easier for us than if we dig our heels in and say, not doing it, and force the universe to push us and get us going in that direction. I will take questions in a little bit. I just want to kind of go through some material first, and then the messages from Spirit. And then, as usual, I will open up the chat. Please type whatever questions you'd like me to answer in caps, because it helps it pop out when I'm scrolling through so I see it. And I'll definitely take whatever questions you all have. All right. One other thing, we have this new spiritual street talk community. Apparently, and I love Mary for doing this, and shout out to her and to Chris Grizzly. You know, they are the heart and soul of this whole network, but they've set up this different community groups for people that tune into the different shows. So it's a whole channel. It's not just videos, right? You can actually become part of the family, part of the community. So if you subscribe today, and there's all kinds of things there's links down below. There's all kinds of technical stuff that's going on that those of you who are far more savvy with social media probably know how to do all that kind of thing, to like and subscribe and to share and to join. So please do all that good stuff, and understand that there's going to be all kinds of good things available to you when you do that. You'll get different notifications about what's happening and be able to join on in with that. One last thing, how to prepare emotionally and mentally for any of the changes that come. To me, it's through spirituality that helps us. And it's that reframing and thinking of it as an adventure and something that is necessary, and understanding that we can't control what's happening around us. The only thing we can really control is how we react to those things, and how we react, how we think about it, how we emotionally react to it. A lot of that we have tremendous control over and choice about, right? If somebody cuts you off on the highway or starts speeding up behind you, beeping their horn for you to move over, because they're clearly in a hurry. Well, you can let that upset you. You can think, what a reckless driver. You can make whatever assumptions you want. You can be a bad driver yourself and refuse to move over and make them pass you on the inside. You could do all that. That's a choice that you have. Just in a hurry. What if you moved over to that inner lane, let them pass you, and instead of assuming the worst about them, why don't you assume that there's some emergency? Their wife is in labor. They have to pee desperately. They just are rushing to the hospital because a loved one is hurt. You don't know what their story is. So instead of creating a narrative where they're jerks and assholes, oh my gosh, excuse me. But instead of assuming the worst, please, why don't you reframe it and think, okay, bless them. Maybe they're on their way to some kind of emergency, or something is really happening for them. Let me get out of their way as fast as I can, right? So that's just one little example. But we can look at the things happening around us, and we can either get sucked in to the trauma of it, or we can sort of step back and see what we can do to rise above it and say, I don't want to get sucked into this quicksand. I want to sort of have a higher vibration. I want to be a person that will shine my light, will share my gifts, share my love, be somebody who is kind to others, be somebody who is trying to have a positive impact on every person I meet, every situation I'm in. I always want to leave things better than how I found them, right? Having that positive legacy wherever you go, whatever you do, right? So when those are your intentions, it's a lot easier to let go about some of those negative feelings that start to come up. Sometimes it's just a matter of how we condition ourselves. So if you're in the habit of exploding with rage, take a step back and figure out, wait, why am I getting so angry about this? Why am I giving them this power to press this button? What do I need to do to disconnect the button, right? So it really changes your response when you want to take your own control and power back and say, no. All this stuff can be happening around me, but the one thing I know I can control and have power over is my response to that. Okay, so I just wanted to share that a little. All right, so the cards that we chose tonight. So as always, and again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. One of the things I do is I pray before this show starts, and I draw some oracle and angel cards asking from Spirit to give us messages for tonight. And I also do 3 tarot cards to go through the past, present, future of this moment, of the energies that are around us. And I talk a tiny bit about them. Okay, so what you'll find is whether you're tuned live tonight, or whether you to the show tomorrow, there's the internet here. I'm not sure what's going on tonight, other than Starlink must be having an issue. But all right, so the messages for tonight. So again, if the screen goes blank, stay with me. Come on back. Just hang in. I will be back as soon as the satellite reconnects. Okay, so first card is intuition. And this says, pay attention to your inner guidance and have the courage to follow it. Relax, use your insight, and you will sense what is needed. Your spirit guides are pointing the way. Intuition, as I've talked about a lot before, but it bears repeating. Your intuition is the synthesis of your mind and intellect, your heart and emotions, your gut, and those knowings and feelings. It is the 3 legs of the tripod of your mind, your heart, and your gut that help you come to that intuitive knowing of who to trust, what projects to take, what's going on around you, what's good, what's bad, what's serious, what's not. That sense of intuition is really important to cultivate, especially as we're going through a world that's more and more confusing, right? We want to have that intuition to tell us, let our BS meter go off and say, wait, there's something wrong with that. Or our heart go, I feel love for this person or this situation. Or our mind go, this makes sense. Or, I want to check into this and do a little bit more independent research, right? Critical thinking. It is an art that was lost and that we need to refine. Okay, listen is the next card, an angel card that came up. And this says, quiet your mind, beloved, and listen to the gentle reassurances of the angels that everything has been taken care of. Stay in a quiet and receptive state without worrying about the exact nature of your desires' manifestations. A quiet mind and body hears us quickly and clearly. This is our request to you. Please listen. So I laugh when I flip that card because I'm somebody who talks a lot, as you know, right? That's part of what being a host on a talk show is about. We talk a lot. But what's also important is to make time to listen to the voice of spirit, to be able to hear, perceive, to sense what are the promptings of spirit. What are the messages that are coming through? What do I need to be paying attention to? So for me, I very often will receive messages at 2 a.m. after my old lady bladder wakes me up and I have to go take care of business, and I come back into bed, and in that quiet in the middle of the night, when my mind's not racing and I'm not busy talking and doing 100 things at once, that's when I'll hear the message of spirit sometimes. And so I'm trying to get better at making time during my day to meditate, to pray, even if it's short little time as I'm doing the dishes, right? My hands can be busy doing the dishes, but I can kind of open my mind to any messages. What do you want me to know? When I'm driving, that's a great time, especially if I'm on a long road trip. I'm kind of on autopilot, right? I've been driving in a long time. I've been driving since I've been 16. And so I've been, driving along, and it's almost automatic, I'm paying attention, but my mind kind of is open to hear the promptings of spirit, and that comes through. And so that's really important to listen. And then the next card really follows up on it. And the next angel card is the card of introspection. And introspection says, find a quiet time or space for contemplation and looking within. It's time to taking time and space for ourselves gives us the opportunity to recuperate from life's challenges, to reflect on the way ahead, to strengthen and heal ourselves, and prepare for the next phase of life. Often during introspection, you can become aware of gifts and blessings and your inner reserve and your wisdom. It is a time for healing. Still your mind and quiet your emotions. Ask for your angels to provide you with that safe haven where you relax. You can listen to the promptings of your angels, inspiring and guiding you. And I love the affirmation they're suggesting. I claim time and space for myself. So the other time and space, because I'm busy, as I'm sure a lot of you are as well, I try to get to a massage therapist at least once or twice a month. And while I'm on their table, that's another time where that's me time. It's quiet. I'm able to listen, relax. My body's relaxing. I'm open to healing. So taking those me time moments, and for everybody, it's going to be something different. Somebody might want the bubble bath. Somebody wants the sauna. Somebody wants a walk in the woods. Somebody wants to go work out in the gym. And, that's their Zen, right? Some people like to go out on the boat, or be in nature. Whatever it is that really helps you quiet your mind a little bit so you're open to the promptings of spirit, those are the things that are really going to help. Now, part of the reason why we need them to be a help is what's going on now. And these next three cards really paint the picture. The first one is the Six of Rods upside down, and it says everything's upside down, right? Where before there used to be recognition and praise and pride of good work and pride of ownership and the desire to want to provide good service or great service for people, it seems like everything's upside down now. People don't care about getting recognition. They don't care about giving good service. It's just like, what's in it for me, right? There's a lot of that kind of vibration going around out there. And we have to be very careful we don't fall into that same trap. And in the now, it's the high priestess, and she's upside down. And again, when she's upside down, it's this sense of being out of balance. Instead of feeling like I'm in flow with the universe, I'm in flow with going and doing all the things that I want to be doing and need to be doing, there's this sense of the old water in the gas tank. And for those of you who have older cars, condensation used to build up. And if you had too much water in your gas tank, instead of it being a smooth ride, you would get this jerky kind of motion happening from your car every now and again. Fortunately, I think with the better qualities of fuels these days, that doesn't happen as much. But that metaphor, that kind of jerkiness, that kind of stutter step that's happening, that's because we're not listening as much to our intuition. We are sort of out of balance and not listening to our own common sense, to our own heart, to our own gut feelings and knowings. Excuse me. Pardon me. And then the last card, going forward, It's the card of temperance. And temperance says, do all things in moderation. We have had this extreme polarization. The swing of everything seems to be, if you're going to do it, you do it balls to the walls, and it's just whatever it is. It's so extreme. Spirit saying, wait, we need to come back to a middle ground. We need to have moderation. We need to do things. If you're working out, if we're working out and you go in there and you run for an hour and then you do 800 crunchies, and this is the first time you've been to the gym in a while, you are going to be one hurting puppy. That you're going to be hurting for a while after trying to do all that. If you could even do all that, right? You'd be like, why did you do that? Why didn't you yourself, right? All things in moderation. Unless you're an alcoholic, having a glass of wine once in a while is not a big thing. Having 2 bottles or 3 bottles a night, that's can be a big thing, right? It can be bad, right? Going on a shopping spree once in a while, that's fine. If you are maxing out all your credit cards, shopping until you drop all the time, and you have like a hoarder's closet or a room or a house full of stuff, that can be a problem, right? So temperance is saying we need to have all things in moderation. We need to dial down the rhetoric. We need to dial down the hate speech. We need to come back to some sort of normal, positive, loving way of interacting with each other that is not just yelling and screaming. People don't seem to talk anymore. They yell at each other. Even I watch some of the talk shows and interviews, and these poor journalists are trying to ask a question and they get screamed at or insulted instead of the person answering the question. And it was a very valid question they were asking, but the person just gets attacked, and you're like, wait, can we just dial it down a tiny bit? What's happening here? So temperance is saying all things in moderation. That's what we need to do right now. All right. So last thing I want to do is just crack open to something in my book here. And impact. Oh, that's an interesting one to follow what we were just talking about. And again, this is my book, A Portal to Potential. You can find it on Amazon. It was written through taking channeled information, consolidating it, and putting it into the book form. It is designed to be inspired writings to invite you to connect to a source of your own inspiration, creativity, guidance. And then hopefully it'll encourage you when you're on your path. It'll help you to feel empowered. It'll pose certain questions that help you figure out what is your soul's purpose. How can you be experiencing more peace and love and joy in your life? So that's what's in here. But anyway, what I just cracked open to today, it's called Impact. And it says, water seeks its own level, like your soul searches for reunion with the one of its being. Water can be peaceful and calm, life-giving, sustaining, and refreshing. Yet water can also be raging and damaging to the environment, causing harm along the way. You too are like water and can impact your world in either benevolent or malevolent ways, depending on what you choose. If you choose nothing consciously, then like a stagnant pool of water, your purpose lies unfulfilled. Unlike water, you have the choice and ability to affect the world around you and thus fulfill the measure of your creation. Be what and who you were born to be. Do what your soul longs to express. By this being and doing, you will find the peace and love the celestial world sing as the beacon to guide your soul home, so you may join in the collective song of the cosmos, unfolding and expanding the universe into being. So basically what that's saying is, again, we have the choice. Benevolence, malevolence. Are we going to be kind and have a positive impact on the lives of others? Are we going to be malevolent and tear people down whenever we get the choice? If you're tuning into the show and you're anywhere on this network, you are a light worker. You are somebody who cares. You are a good person and a soul who has a purpose, who has gifts to share, love to share, light to shine, kindness, benevolence that you can give. You can have a positive impact on the lives of others. You just have to figure out maybe how to get out of the quicksand you might be in right now. And that's why we're all here, to help each other get out of the quicksand. Because I think the way Spirit sets it up sometimes is we take turns. I'll be in the quicksand for a little while and reach up and you help me out. You're in the quicksand for a little while. Okay, I'll help you out. It's this little dance we do that our souls know, oh, so-and-so needs help. All right, got you covered. And I think that's what part of this whole sense of community that we're trying to establish here with the Spiritual Street Talk community, as well as all of the communities that are on the Bigfoot Network, is that we are here to help each other and answer those questions and support each other as we go forward. Okay, so I'm going to now open up the chat and see what kind of questions we have here. And I'm going to say hello to Amy and Outlook Kurt as I go through, because I see you guys have joined us. Welcome, welcome. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the beginning here and then see what capitals I see for anybody who's asking me a question. Okay. Okay, so here's a question. All right, so Virgil's asking, I'm an individual with arrested development, i.e. a narcissistic personality disorder. Do they evolve? Oh, okay. I'm assuming, Virgil, you're saying you're with somebody that has this narcissistic personality disorder, and do they evolve on the other side? Because if you were that person that had it, you wouldn't be asking the question. Because from what I know of interacting with narcissists in my capacity as a life coach, they're not very self-aware. So if you're even asking the question, you probably don't have it. So I presume you're asking this for somebody you know that you're with or close to. So when we are on the other side of the veil, there is some evolution that happens. And mostly the evolution comes from what I understand, comes from the reflection that we do as we review our life and we see the impact we had on others. And we review our life in order to see how well did we do according to the roadmap we had when we came into spirit and to come here into physical play. So if our soul said, okay, we had these 10 things that we really wanted to experience and do and become and share, and we wound up with 3 out of the 10, maybe not so good. But let's find out why that happened. And let's look back into the life and let's look at the challenges and how well we overcame them. So there is a sense of evolving because of the learning that happens on the other side. Plus we have access again to the Akashic records and to the wisdom schools. And there's all kinds of really cool things on the spiritual plane to help us understand and mature as far as the spirit goes. But it's not a major quantum leap kind of evolving. It's sort of, let's just say if you're at this level and when you're on the other side of spirit, yeah, you can evolve to maybe the next step. Let me use them. Let me, instead of trying to do this with my hands, think about floors of a building. So if you're hanging out on level 1 and your spirit wanted you to get to level 3, when you get to the other side, maybe you'll have the learnings and you'll get to level 2. You're not going to get to level 10. That wasn't part of the plan. And you didn't have the right kind of experiences to make that kind of huge leap, right? But anyway, the bottom line is, I know that there's a life review that happens, and somebody who has a narcissistic personality disorder, which means they view everything through the lens of themselves, and they are never wrong. They always look for somebody else to blame. And they want to be the center of attention, and everything has to kind of revolve around them. When they have their life review, one of the things that happens is they see and feel everything that the people they were having interactions with felt. So while they were here physically, they were clueless to the impact they were having on others, whether that was by choice or because of the disorder they have. When they're on the other side, they understand that when they yelled at that person or never said, I'm sorry after hurting that person, or what raged and, punched a hole in the wall and scared the heck out of their mate when they did that kind of out of control behavior, they are going to feel viscerally and know what that mate, that person, the receiving end person experienced. And so that will help them have a learning and an understanding and oh my gosh, and many times then they become dedicated to trying to become better and wanting to not hurt and inflict that kind of harm on another soul again. Okay, so that was that question. Okay, so Joey's asking me, Alethea, have you ever done anything exciting and adventurous in your life? Oh, yeah, I've done lots of fun and exciting and adventurous things, Joey. I have traveled around the world, actually. I've been to over 30 countries around the world and most of the states in the U.S. I've gone gold panning and crystal mining. I have climbed up to the top of all kinds of places. I've been inside the inner circles at Stonehenge. I've climbed into the sarcophagus inside the Great Pyramid of Giza. I've had all kinds of fun adventures over the years, and I'm writing some books. So eventually they'll all come out. But yeah, I love to tell the stories. There's definitely some things that have happened to me in my life. I've had angel experiences. Angel saved my life. An angel helped me out of a bind. Another time where my car was broken down and help just appeared. And anyway, all kinds of fun stuff. So yes, the short answer for that is yes. I was somebody that definitely had the call to adventure and left I left my job in IBM. I worked for them for 18 years. I was a senior management consultant at the end of my career there. And I kept getting the prompting from Spirit that I should leave and become a life coach and a private freelance consultant. And I was like, you got to be kidding. I'm only 7 years away from retirement. But I got that call to adventure. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I put in my resignation and I left. And it was this amazing adventure of people I met and new things I learned. I learned how to become a dog trainer. I worked for Guiding Eyes for the Blind for a little while. I ran my own dog training businesses. I worked for Primerica and learned how to help people. I wound up getting my insurance license, my mortgage broker's license, my financial planner degree, in order to be able to help advise people and families as part of that job. And, it's just been, one thing after the other with all the metaphysical stuff. I worked at psychic fairs. I've helped people all over the world, teaching at different places and putting retreats together. And yeah, so I've had a lot of adventures and things happen in my life that have been pretty cool and fun. No one's ever going to accuse me of having a boring life. And when we sit down and talk, when friends get to know me or new friends get to know me, they're like, oh my God, you've done this and done that. I've trained as a massage therapist and a healer, and I've studied with amazing healers all over the world and gone to explore in places that maybe other people haven't. I've learned how to scuba dive years ago. I'm glad I got a lot of that stuff in before I got hit by the car, and because that really put a cramp in my style as far as doing a lot of the physical things. But before that, my goodness, was I ever a tap dancing fool? Oh, tap dancing. Yes, that's true. I've met the Pope and had a private audience with him with a small group, and we sang for him, and I was blessed by him, Pope John Paul II. I got to be in the presence of the Dalai Lama for a few days, which was just amazing and awesome. That was way cool. I used to perform years ago. I sang in the Bronx Opera Company and was in many different musical theater groups when I was younger, and got to perform on stage and do that kind of fun stuff, tap dancing and singing and having a blast. I even sang on a cruise boat. I was singing in the shower. This is a true story. I was singing in the shower, and when I was on a cruise boat, and a few minutes after I get out of the shower, I hear a knock on the door, and I open it, and it's one of the cruise entertainment director, and he's like, "Hey, on the last night of the show, we sometimes invite the last night of the cruise, we sometimes invite different people, passengers, to come up and perform and sing. Would you be willing to perform on that night?" And so I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I got up with a couple other passengers, and I sang a couple of songs from Les Miserables and whatnot, but it was just a hoot. So here I am on a Princess Cruise boat, on a cruise that I was on with my aunt, and we were cruising there. And that time it was all around Australia and Malaysia and Singapore and down in that area of the world. And I'm performing on a cruise boat. It's like I'm singing on the Love Boat. It's like, wow. So yeah, I've had all kinds of adventures and fun things happen in my life there, Joey. Thank you for asking. Okay, next question. Okay. Oh, and Joey's saying he likes to do bungee jumping. Yeah, no, not bungee jumping for me. Okay. So let's see. Oh, somebody was sharing that they had a Green Beret as a friend who got injured in a parachuting. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, let's see. Other questions here. Somebody said they have a friend in their 80s who wants to go skydiving, and they're bailing out. Amy, don't be a wuss. If the 80-year-old's going to go for it. They'll help you. They'll teach you. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's see. What other questions? Okay, so Amy is asking the question, can we be too much of a loner? Well, in a way, you're asking the wrong person, because I'm sort of the extrovert. I love people. I love interactions. The more I interact with y'all, the more jazzed and energized I get. So I'm not exactly the right person to ask for that from a personal point of view, but from a life coaching and a trained point of view, yeah. The degree of being a loner and whether it's too much or too little, really, you're the best judge of that. If the person is being a hermit and isolating to their detriment, so they're not being creative, or they're not being productive, or they seem like that aloneness is more of a dysfunction because they have a fear of being out with people, then yeah, maybe you can be too alone. There are writers who have secluded themselves for months at a time because they're in that artistic process, or painters who have secluded themselves and say, nope, I don't want to be around people right now. I'm in that creative zone, right? So if it's that kind of being a loner, there's no problem with it. But if it's somebody who is just feeling antisocial, then I would be a little concerned. Because part of the reason we are all here on this side of the veil is so that we can have social interactions with each other. We didn't incarnate, most of us that's probably on this chat right now and seeing this podcast or listening to this podcast, you're probably not a Tibetan monk who meditates in your cell most of the day, right? As part of your spiritual practice. If that's being part of the alone, but you know what? Even those monks that are having the most of their day in meditation or prayer, they come together for fellowship for their meals. Even if they're eating in silence, they're still together. There's still a sense of community and connection. And if somebody truly needed something, there would be an interaction. So, yeah. So I guess the short answer, can we be too much of a loner? Yes. with the caveat of it depends why you're being a loner. If it's you're really surrounded by a bunch of toxic people and you have not yet gone on your call to adventure to find your new tribe, to find the new people that resonate with your energy, who connect with your spirit, then being a loner in that case is better than being social with a bunch of people who are going to corrupt you, distract you, bring you down, hurt you, right? So yeah, so there's lots of different ways to look at the question. So if there's something more specific, Amy, you want to ask that maybe I can tune in a little better, I'm happy to try to do that. And I hope my little ramblings here made some sense about that. All right. Let's see. Hello, Flash. Hey. We still have the Flash. Flash, quiet, quiet. I know we're almost done, honey. We're almost done. My dog's going like, hurry up, Mom. Quiet. Be a good boy. Okay. All right. Question. Okay. So what is this, Amy? This is, I watched too many honeymooner episodes. Art Carney to Jackie Gleason. Water always seeks its own level. Yep. Yet, yes, heard the rumors to that effect that it went down the sewer. Okay, that's good. Yeah, water does seek its own level, right? Energetically, like if I was hanging around superstars, right? And you can kind of look at this with some of the sporting people that are out there. They tend to gravitate to other people that are at their level, mostly because these are people that can relate to them. They don't tend to hang out with the people that are just beginners in the field. It wouldn't make a lot of sense. The person who is the expert in their field is going to feel a little bit like, okay, I can bless somebody with my knowledge or skills, but it's not going to be a lot of a two-way interaction. And eventually that person is going to feel a little used or worn down. And the people that are not quite as skilled are going to feel like, wow, I'm just so out of that league. I can never be as good as that person. They're going to compare themselves. They're not going to feel good about themselves. They're naturally going to fall away. So we tend to gravitate to people who are, as you say here, water at the same level or within a short distance, a little higher, a little lower. I'd like to think more of it as vibration. We're going to be with like-minded, like-spirited soul group people, right? You may try to connect and be with people that are a lot higher or a lot lower, but even like go back to the evolution there, right? Would I feel, me personally, I have devoted my life to my spiritual studies, but I would feel so out of place if you put me in a monastery with a whole bunch of monks and sisters who meditate for 20 hours a day and eat in silence. I would be like, get me out of here. Even though the vibration is super duper high, right? And they are just like putting out great vibrations into the world, it would make me feel really uncomfortable. So, that's something that we have to notice for ourselves. Who are the people that we feel good with? But understand, there's another saying that my grandma used to have: if you sleep with dogs, you get their fleas. You may want to be the highest and brightest in your group because it makes you feel good for a little while. But understand, they will put you down if there's too much of a gap. If you're hanging out with people that are constantly engaging in behaviors that would lower their vibration, they're going to lower your vibration too. And you may be able to inoculate yourself from it for a little while, but if you stay with that circle, eventually you're going to be like, screw it. I'm going to give up on my higher ambitions to better myself and to stay in this higher vibration. And I'm just going to go roll around in the mud pit, so to speak. Okay. Other questions here. Let's see. I'm not taking questions. No, taking questions tonight. Okay, I'm getting a few people giving me thumbs up for what I've shared so far. Yes, please do explain more so I can make a better answer for you there. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So as far as okay, so this is about somebody else. Okay, gotcha. Okay, Virgil. Yep. So Virgil's sharing that one of the things that happens is to him. Let me hold on. Let me get this other question. Where is that now? Aches. Technology. Here we go. All right, we'll figure all this out yet on the last 2 minutes of the show. Yeah. So Virgil was explaining, he was talking about somebody else, and the person's behaviors were very patronizing. And yeah, so that particular narcissistic patronizing behavior, when that person crosses over to the other side, their soul will evolve to the point where they recognize the impact they had on others. And if it was where if we do things that we make other people feel less than best, or we put them down, or we hurt them in some way, we're going to feel that, know that, and our soul is going to get a chance to learn from that. And then sometimes we choose to come on back to have another chance to make it right. We karmically will choose to be born in a soul group with that person's soul the next time they reincarnate, so we can make it up to them somehow. So there's usually some kind of give or take that will happen from that. So y'all, really wonderful to have you all here joining in on the chat. Thank you so much for joining. The homework, as always, you guys and ladies, is to be the best possible version you can of yourself. Keep working on improving, getting better every day. We're all going to have oopses. We're all going to find times when we're in the quicksand. That's when we're here to help each other. You know, shine your light, share your love, share your gifts. Be kind to each other. Be unconditionally forgiving and loving of yourself. Extend that same courtesy to others. Try to have the best, highest impact, positive impact you can on the lives of others. Withdraw yourself from the drama, trauma, craziness. Cultivate peace. If you can do those things and just kind of keep them in mind as much as possible, you will find that your life is a lot better, that you'll feel you're creating a legacy that's worth and a life worth living. Anyway, come on back next time. Thank you all for all your encouragement, for your love. Share the word. Do all those good social media things. There's a place to sign in down below. Please join and follow and do all that good social media stuff. And have a blessed week. And I will see you again next Thursday. If you're joining me live on the show, please feel free to do that. Our show airs live every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern time here in the States. So if you want to come and join in on the chats and ask your own questions or give me topics that you want me to discuss, that I love that. I'm here for you. That's why I started doing this live talk show podcast form. So please feel free to do that. But if you can't, if you're joining me other times, happy to have you reach out to me. You can always go down to my website, aletheajacob.com. There's all my contact information. And feel free to email me. Reach out to me whenever you have a question or if I can help you. It's my joy and privilege to do so. Once you all have a great week, God bless, and shine your light. Shine your light. We all need more light out there right now. Okay. Good night.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.